All right, let's jump right into this and how to use your Cursor AGENTS.md file to absolutely master multi-agent workflows in 2026. Look, if you've been working with tools like Cursor lately, you already know the landscape has shifted massively. AI isn't just a glorified autocomplete anymore. It's a full-fledged pair programmer. But to get the absolute most out of it, you need to know exactly how to hand it the right rulebook. So before we get lost in the weeds with technical details, we really have to ask the most critical question facing developers today. When you hand off a task to an AI coding assistant, who is actually drawing the map? Are you just hoping the model magically guesses your architecture, or are you explicitly defining the boundaries? Because right now, the difference between a developer who gets a 2x productivity boost and one who gets a 10x boost comes down entirely to how well they guide their AI. Here's our blueprint for today. 1. The AI context chaos. 2. What is AGENTS.md? 3. Cursor rules versus AGENTS.md. 4. Building your AGENTS.md file. 5. Folder routing and skills.md. And finally, 6. Avoiding the junk drawer. Starting with Section 1, the AI context chaos. This is what happens when AI pair programmers are left totally unguided. The core problem here is that tools like Cursor and models like Claude 3.7 Point are incredible at writing code, but without context, they are basically operating in the dark. If you don't tell the AI your stack, it might try to write database queries using Prisma when your entire team strictly uses Drizzle. Or it might suggest outdated React class components when you've already moved on to modern functional ones. Basically, it defaults to generic average code instead of your code. Moving right along to Section 2, what is AGENTS.md, the universal rulebook for coding agents? The crucial takeaway here is that AGENTS.md is essentially your project's architectural briefing document. It's just a highly portable, totally plain text rulebook that lives right at the root of your project. It tells the AI exactly what it can and cannot do in your specific repository. Think of it as the onboarding manual for a brand new, highly capable, but completely context-blind junior developer. And the real magic here? Portability. You see, you might be using Cursor today, but what if a consultant jumps into your repo using GitHub Copilot tomorrow? Or what if you spin up Claude Code in your terminal just to run a quick refactor? This single Markdown file ensures everyone, human or AI, regardless of their specific tooling, is on the exact same page. Section 3, Cursor rules versus AGENTS.md. Let's clear up the industry confusion. This direct contrast makes it incredibly clear. You use your .cursor/rules directory for tool-specific behavior that only the Cursor IDE needs to know about, things like repeatable UI workflows or specific file pattern guidance, but you use AGENTS.md for the overarching portable boundaries that any agent needs to respect. If we break this down into a matrix, you can really see the structural differences. Cursor rules, which in 2026 are organized as .mdc files inside a rules folder, are fantastic for attaching specific YAML triggers. You can literally tell Cursor, hey, only apply this rule when I'm editing a React form. That is highly scoped magic. AGENTS.md, on the other hand, is your stable metadata-free anchor. It's just simple Markdown that applies universally across the board. Let's dive into Section 4, building your AGENTS.md file. What actually goes inside this thing? Well, these are the 4 pillars of a great briefing document. Notice that you aren't just telling the AI what the tech stack is. You are explicitly giving it the commands to test its own work before it claims a task is done. You're telling it to run PNPM type check or to run the unit tests. You're demanding strict conventions, like completely forbidding the use of the anytype in TypeScript. I absolutely love this specific instruction right here because it establishes a hard security boundary. By putting this in your AGENTS.md, you're treating the AI exactly like a junior developer who needs senior sign-off before touching mission-critical revenue or security code. It literally stops the agent from accidentally migrating your production database while it's just trying to fix a simple front-end bug. Moving to Section 5, Folder routing and skills.md, Advanced Agent Workflows and Migration. If you're looking at your repository today and realizing it's a mess of scattered AI prompts and old Cursor rules files, just follow these exact migration steps. First, inventory what you actually have. Second, separate the architectural facts from the behavioral rules. Third, lock those highly specific Cursor triggers into the Cursor rules folder. And finally, build your single clean root AGENTS.md file. Now, as your monorepo grows, you can actually place separate, nested agents.md files inside specific directories. This is huge. Your AI agent working in the front-end folder will get the UI constraints, but when it jumps over to the database folder, it dynamically picks up your strict database rules. It ensures the AI is never overwhelmed by rules that don't apply to the exact files it's currently editing. And to get even more specialized, you should separate your logic like this. Agents.md tells the AI what standard it must meet, the overarching goals and boundaries. But you can create a separate skills.md file to teach the AI how to execute that standard step by step. So agents.md says run the linters, and skills.md gives the exact CLI commands and fallback procedures for linting in your specific environment. Finally, Section 6, avoiding the junk drawer. This is the primary failure mode of AI rules. A 2,000-line rule file is not context, it is noise. Man, that perfectly captures the junk drawer analogy. It is so tempting to just paste every single preference, every tiny bug fix, and every temporary task note right into your rules file. But if you do that, the AI will suffer from context collapse. It'll become totally overwhelmed by the sheer volume of text and just start ignoring the things that actually matter. To keep agents.md clean and focused strictly on behavioral boundaries, you should offload all those structural facts into a dedicated project.md file. Let agents.md be the rulebook for behavior, and let project.md be the map of your codebase. This split keeps your instructions incredibly sharp and effective. Take a hard look at your own repository today and ask yourself this. Are your AI instructions genuinely helping the model succeed, or have they just become a dumping ground for abandoned ideas and old prompts? Prune your instructions exactly like you would prune bad code. Ultimately, your role as a developer has shifted from being a typist to being an architect. The AI is incredibly fast, and it can absolutely write the code, but it is completely blind without you. By mastering your agents.md file, you ensure your AI always follows your master plan, adheres to your standards, and fundamentally respects your boundaries. So the only question left is, what boundaries will you draw today?